and gentlemen, let's go. Gaming, tech, culture.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go.
You're listening to the Cool Black Nerd Podcast, presented by Say What Radio.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 22 of the Cool Black Nerd Podcast. This is Titanium. And look here. You know what? Okay, let me do this first. I'm your host, Jules, and I'm joined by our co-host, Justice. Justice, how are you doing today?
I'm actually doing pretty good. It's been one of those days where everything just falls into place. So we hoping that this one keeps going with this.
Okay, well, that's what's up. That's what's up. So look, guys, we recorded episode 22. Well, the first time we recorded it last week, and look, it was bad. Like everything about it was bad. I was bad. Craig was bad. You know I don't like Craig. Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Craig records for us. Craig was bad. The conversation was bad. It was just messed up. My internet was bad. Justice was talking for like 10 minutes while I was trying to get my internet reconnected. It was awful. Everything about it was awful. So we let it go. And we redoing it.
Might release that as a bloopers one day or something, because I mean it was just
And I think you need to just delete it. That's what I think you need to do. So let's just jump into it. I'm going to tell you guys what we're going to do with this episode. Right now, the new Destiny 2 expansion is out, Beyond Light. We are both playing it. I've enjoyed it so far. How about you?
I have to agree. I was very skeptical because you've been playing Destiny longer than I have, but we've both been playing it, and it hasn't had the best of content at sometimes, and some of the launches have just been terrible. But this is actually intriguing. I like the story. I like the new powers that you get. The guns so far are pretty good. I'm liking it. I really am. I don't want to do Crucible though.
Yeah. Some of the new powers do seem definitely way overpowered for Crucible. I like it too, and I really can just echo everything that you said. I think the story is pretty good. They've gotten a lot better at telling stories, especially since Destiny 1. The story now is definitely intriguing. I'm very curious to see where it's going to go. And I think they're doing a better job of weaving the story into the gameplay. So, you find out more of the story as you play the game and discover little secrets. You can kind of pick up some little tidbits here and there. So I think that's a pretty good thing that they're doing to keep it engaging, even because, with this game and games like this, after maybe a week, 2 weeks, you really just end up you're doing the same stuff you've been doing over and over. So they got to figure out some kind of way to make it worthwhile,
Yeah, or interesting at that point. Because, it can be engaging, but if it's not really interesting, why would you do it?
Exactly. So at the beginning, guys, I mentioned that episode 22 previously was messed up. So while we're playing this game right now, we're just going to be talking and recording, getting our thoughts out on stuff. We're going to kind of touch on the plans that we had for Titanium originally, but honestly, we're just going to be having a conversation and you guys get to listen in. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to get off my chest off top, last episode, I had some things to say about GM and how they had no plans for electric vehicles. And, next week they decided to prove me wrong. Like literally the next week they introduced the electric Hummer.
And it sold out for pre-orders, if I'm not mistaken, within that day.
Yeah, it did. I can't remember what they call it, like Premier Edition or First Edition, something like that. Yeah. Sold out, $100,000 a pop.
I just can't do it. The only thing that I found to be appealing about it was, and we spoke on this a little bit, being that little cool, weird sideways spider crawl thing that it can do. But other than that, it's a Hummer. Walk. Yeah. Other than it's a Hummer that gets less projected mileage for most EVs at this point in time. So it's just like, what am I plopping down $100,000 for? So, and even the closest vehicle to it is well under that, at least 60% less.
So yeah, a lot of people are comparing it to, the obvious comparison is the Tesla Cybertruck. So yeah, right now the Cybertruck is about half the price with a little bit less than twice the range. Seems like it will have more features, but we'll see. All I can say is we have to wait and see, because the truth is right now, both of those trucks could be considered vaporware. Like they don't really have I mean, Tesla has a working prototype. Like we've seen it moving on its own, but even Elon Musk has admitted, that they're going to make some changes before the production of that vehicle. They do have a prototype for the Hummer, and it looks great, but the Hummer is, kind of ironically pretty similar to Nikola in that it does not actually move on its own yet. So it's just a shell with a beautiful interior, but we're not really sure exactly how it's going to perform yet. So everything's just projections on both of those trucks, really.
Yeah. It seems to be, pretty much in the EV game in and of itself. That is the deal that's going on. And I did a little bit of research looking into some of the other players that they actually have in the game. And you have, of course, Rivian has their truck, which I didn't realize that they had, if I'm not mistaken, an SUV possibly coming out. And I think that's the thing that sets them apart from everyone else, because the SUV market is the biggest one at this point in time.
Yep, they have SUV and a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Bollinger, which to me kind of looks like a G-Wagon knockoff for the most part, and an old Hummer knockoff, like the actual military Hummer. But if I'm not mistaken, those are only going to be fleet. I don't believe that they'll be available to consumers anytime soon. But those are the options currently for trucks and electric vehicles. I know Ford is possibly doing like an F-150 type thing.
Yeah, they've announced an F-150. They're going to be working with Rivian on whatever it is that they're doing. I don't know if it's going to be in, specifically on the F-150, because they've been talking about that F-150 for some years, and they haven't done anything with it, which is weird because they had an electric Ranger like back in the 90s. I mean, First of all, it's weird because all of the American car manufacturers had electric vehicles back in the 90s and just let it go completely.
Big oil killed it.
Yeah, that's true. So now, as far as American vehicles, you're really just down to Chrysler, Dodge, Mopar. I know I said GM has nothing, but they really got nothing. They don't even have partnerships right now. On the one hand, I kind of like it. They are sticking, especially Dodge, they're sticking with that muscle car look, muscle car performance.
Mm-hmm.
We want all the gas out of the gas station, all the horsepowers that can possibly be fit inside of a vehicle. We want it in there. And they're, at least for now, seems like they're going all in with that.
Well, you have to bet on what you know. I really do understand, especially in this particular time in history. It's just unprecedented for everybody, businesses, families, just everything. So you bet on what you know, and it's just like, okay, then we'll probably figure it out from then on. But honestly, that has been the downfall of so many companies, putting all your eggs in one basket and not being diversifying or innovative as far as what you do know. It's just like, okay, well, I know this. That's all I'm gonna know. That's not going to help you. Even as a person, that's not going to help you. You want to keep learning, even if you don't want to learn a new skill, at least evolve the skill that you have.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna just say this. I'm not mad at the Hellcats. Like I'm kind of, if I had the money to afford one, I would probably do it.
Would you really?
I would. I mean, I like that muscle car look. I mean, that's why I got a Charger now.
I got you. I feel you.
Yeah, in the future, I'm definitely going electric. Like my next purchase, I'm fairly certain it's going to be an electric vehicle.
We're talking about this, but what honestly is the appeal or even the necessity for, the next person coming down the line buying a car for an electric vehicle? Because right now, of course, gas is still, vehicles in itself is still expensive, and EVs are just insanely out of the reach of most people. So what is the appeal of the point of getting those at this point?
Well, okay. Well, the one that the EVs that people want are probably out of the range, because there's definitely some that people can buy right now, like the Nissan Leaf, the Chevy Volt. Those are like,
they just recalled the Chevy Volt for possible fire risk. So again,
hey, whether they recalled it or not, you said cheap. I'm just telling you what the price is. Like I'm just saying that there's electric vehicles that aren't out of reach is all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
But the ones you want, those are probably a bit more expensive.
Well, no. What I mean is that, okay, most people know what you can do for an ordinary vehicle, gas powered vehicles. You know that you need to take it to get the oil changed, get the tires rotated, to do this and that. I don't think there's enough education out there for the average person of what you would do for an electric vehicle.
I got you. So a lot of that stuff is not Like a lot of maintenance is eliminated by having an electric vehicle.
But I don't think a lot of people know that. We've seen those memes where the lady pulls up to the gas station trying to
put the gas in the
Tesla.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people just have to get educated. Now, of course, that's something the industry has to do. They got to figure out a way to get people more educated about that. And as far as like why people should be looking to get one, for me personally, it is about the environment. I think it's a vehicle that I can afford, honestly, off top. Even if I was getting a gas powered vehicle, it would probably be about the same price the next time that I decide to get a new car or truck or whatever. So
right now, yeah.
Yeah, for me, the price is not the issue. Part of it is gas. Yes, gas is cheap right now, but it may not always be. Like the only reason it's cheap now is because, geopolitical influences. The Saudis have been flooding the market with oil and gas because the United States started producing more of our own, and we've been using that. So they're actually driving the price down artificially right now. So who knows how long that's going to last. And, that is a finite resource. At some point, it's going to start running out, and it's going to just naturally get more and more expensive. Like we can go back and think about those days when, in some parts of the country, gas was $5 plus a gallon because there was a shortage or because an oil field caught on fire. So for me, I guess those are the factors. And like you mentioned, just there's a lot of maintenance costs that you don't have to worry about. And damn it, Jessica, they're just cool. Like I want the big touch screen in there. You know what I'm saying? I want all that. I want the self-driving.
They have aftermarket.
Hey, ain't nobody got time. I ain't got time for that. I don't have time to be installing all that kind of stuff. I can't do that. I do too much work with computers at work. I'm good.
The reason why I ask that is because a lot of people aren't as knowledgeable about this stuff. And as you said, it has to be on the industry to be able to educate them on that. But I only know what I don't know, basically. So I think a lot of people don't know what to ask, and they feel stupid for asking. Like, do I have to plug this up in my house? Will my light bill go up for this stuff because I'm charging it at home? Do I have to pay for it? And this is something I've actually heard. Do I have to pay for it when I park my car at the place at Whole Foods? Yes, it's still like gas, that type of stuff. But I don't think that it's really out there as far as knowledge on how these things operate and where you can go to buy this stuff and things like that. Because honestly, if you buy a Tesla, you would have to go to a Tesla to be able to do that stuff for the most part. One of those charging stations.
Well, see, even that's a little incorrect.
Well, no, because not every single one is the exact same.
No, you're right. But for fast charging, you'd have to go to Tesla. But they actually come with adapters to work with the other two standards of charging in the car. So they can connect to, the charger that you see at Whole Foods or wherever. It just won't be the fastest possible charging, which is not for most vehicles anyway, if you go to one of those places.
True. But the reason why I brought it up is because even like with wireless charging, like right now with your phone, most people are like, well, when I'm at home, it charges so fast. Why isn't it doing it when I'm using this rinky dink one I got from my cousin or whatever? Because that isn't compatible. I mean, you see what I'm saying? That stuff isn't known by everybody. It's just like, okay, the one that came with your phone is specifically designed for it. Mm-hmm. The one that your little cousin gave you that lights up and does all this and that, it's not designed for that. It's just like, hey, if you have access to it, I can charge it. I can't charge it the best, but I can charge it. So just in talking to some people, I've realized that there's a lot more to go there. I mean, for instance, when you're on a road trip, you know that there'll be a gas station within a few miles of another one. I mean, at the most, you wouldn't go over 100 miles where the next one is. That can happen, but it's not feasible for the most part. But for charging, you would have to really plan that out.
Yeah, in some electric vehicles, yes, you would.
Yeah.
Some of them just plan it out for you if you put in your destination. So again, that depends on which vehicle you have, but you're right. So range anxiety is definitely a thing for people who drive long distances on a regular basis. If you have maybe a long commute for work, I can see that potentially being an issue. And, maybe electric vehicle is not for you.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I just think there needs to be a little bit more education on that. But I think that's probably honestly with a lot of stuff. If you're going to buy something, please do your best in looking it up, seeing what advantages and disadvantages it has, stuff like that. I wish some people would do that when it came to finances, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, I guess so. Speaking of doing research before you buy new stuff, some new stuff came out. We got new Xboxes, we got new PlayStations. They're out there in the world.
What was interesting to me, I don't know if you saw this, but somebody actually put out a video. It was a TikTok video. And they were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. My Xbox Series X is smoking. And it was supposed to be funny, but they knew what they were doing. What exactly happened? And it was smoking. They had actually put their vape pen under it, and it was being pulled up through the vents on it. So, and Xbox actually had to release it. So we can't believe we have to say this, but please don't put vape smoke in your Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that probably damaged the one that whoever that did that. I'm pretty sure they probably messed up something or will. Yeah, eventually. So from what I've been hearing and seeing around the internet, it looks like the launches actually went pretty smoothly, despite some of the pre-order hiccups, especially with Sony. But I haven't really seen anything too crazy about them other than them being sold out. But I mean, that's what you expect.
Exactly. Your favorite retailer definitely had a field day with that, where they oversold the PlayStations. So people who were able to get them, they still told them, they shipped them out to a certain batch. And then the other people, they were like, hey, 2021 is probably going to be your year for a PS5.
Oh, wow. Who did this?
GameStop.
Oh, of course. I should have known that. A part of me was thinking Walmart, but GameStop.
GameStop. Definitely GameStop.
I just don't understand how GameStop is still
a thing
in business. No offense to anybody who loves GameStop or who works there. I just don't. It's one of those companies I feel like they've been hanging on by a thread for a long time. And I just don't know when
it's going to
finally.
Yeah. I think they're indicative of a larger problem that we're seeing ultimately and the pandemic brought it out more than anything. Me and you had talked about this previously on one of the shows. I forgot which one it was, but people had so much anxiety about not having money or figure out where their next meal was coming from, and seeing people in nice cars and nice houses and kind of making the assessment that, hey, they have everything, when it's just like they were probably living paycheck to paycheck too. And now we're seeing that these companies are basically been doing the same thing too.
Oh yeah. Yep, for sure. Definitely got some companies out there living paycheck to paycheck. Great example, AMC movie theaters. I mean, outside looking in and I'm not pretending like I've just been looking at their balance sheets or anything, but it's AMC theaters. It's everybody goes to AMC, right? They had the little movie pass thing that was working, $20 a month to go see your movies. They had it set up so that it was sustainable, and I felt like it made good sense. And then the pandemic hit and they was like, look, we got enough cash for maybe 3 months and that's it. We either filing for bankruptcy, we need help. Like, I think recently they sold almost $50 million worth of stock to private investors just to raise some cash. So, I mean, they're going through it. And even as they were doing that, they were still like, it's possible that this is not enough.
Yeah.
So
I question it, and I really wish we could get like some financial advisors or people in finance necessarily on here. So if you know anybody, you want to come on the show, I would love to be able to ask you some questions. But it seems to be indicative of a larger problem of it being not seeing the foresight. It's just like what we can get now or what we plan for the year. Is that just how the industry is? And I can't see that it's that, because you had the same thing with Theranos. You had the same thing with Nikola and so many other companies where they're just faking it till they make it. Why is that the problem? I don't understand. And hell, going back to Enron, if even want to go there, it can't even say like it's a new thing. This has been going on for years.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, I feel like part of it is because everything now has become so like, do it now, be profitable now, like be innovative now, everything is now. And then even when you take a look at the stock market, like the stuff that people are trying to get into are stocks really that maybe not have proven themselves, but they've got a lot of potential. So if you look at something like a perfect example is Tesla. For many years, Tesla was not a profitable company. They just kept raising money, and Elon Musk was like a celebrity, and the ideas sounded great, right? And even now, the company is like not consistently profitable. They're not as profitable as their stock price would indicate, but like their shares are over $500 a share. Tesla itself really is a company that if something doesn't go exactly right, they could be in some real trouble.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. Like we got this instant gratification culture, I guess. And I think companies, we think about executives and how their pay is probably tied to stock prices. I think that a lot of the things that they do, honestly, might just be about goosing that stock price. It's like they're incentivized to do it, I think. And we should probably do an actual in-depth show about that. Because, truth be told, I could be 100% wrong, but that's what I feel is the right answer.
That's the point of this show. We're talking to how we feel. And we're looking for more information. For, again, hit us up, saywhatradio.com, social media, CoolBlackNerd on IG and, IG mainly.
IG, yeah. You look for us on Facebook and TikTok and all that. You're going to find us, but we're not going to find you. So
you're going to get an answer on Instagram or info@saywhatradio.com. So I'm just wondering if it's mainly just because of the Cinderella thing. And then this is just something I just came up with my own. So you have stocks that are just based on hype for the most part. So WeWork. Valuation was, through the roof. Then people actually see what they're doing, and it falls to the floor. Even then, or I won't even say falls to the floor, but it at least half dropped. But still, they were in the billions as far as the valuation of the worth of this company. How is that possible? It's just like you see that this is not sustainable. They are deeply in debt, but still billions of dollars that this company is worth because of name and what?
It's hype. It's hype. And you know what? I'll say this is something that I've seen. I've seen some of the the professional traders. I've seen them blaming like the apps like Robinhood or Doe for letting, millions and millions of people that know literally nothing about trading stock have the ability now to do it for free and do it, right from their phone. So for them, that's part of it. Like a company is able to generate hype with those people, and they actually will drive up the price. So that's what some of them are blaming it on, which, I'm sure has an effect. But at the same time, like this issue, that stuff like that was happening before we had these trading apps. So maybe it's a little bit more pronounced because of that. But
I don't know if you can, because honestly, if that was the case, you'd still have the same issue with the traders who were trying to find people to just buy stock and didn't necessarily know, what it was. They could drive it up and tell these people, oh, this is the biggest thing since Glop.
Yeah, you talk about that Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, yes.
Where they're selling everybody the stocks to drive up the price, then they sell it and get out of it before people find out that is really worthless. Yeah,
exactly. It can't necessarily be that, because it would still be the same thing. And honestly, since Wolf of Wall Street is a thing, or has been a thing, don't know if it still is, can't really blame it on people who don't necessarily know very much. It may just be a fear of missing out type thing. Same thing that Instagram and Facebook and just social media in general has perpetuated for so long. People just feeling like, oh, well, they're having a better life than me. Why? I will forever not understand that. Why isn't it just a pretty picture?
Oh, man. Yeah, but I think it's just human nature that in general, people are always comparing themselves to other people and then
keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah. And Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff allows people to put an image out there that is not the truth. And I think it's hard for some people to recognize that what you see on these pages is curated heavily.
You're right.
I'm gonna tell you this. You know what got me out of, because honestly, I did used to look at, man, people are doing it big, like on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Like but what got me out of it, and it's kind of funny, is because one of my friends, we had dated like in high school and hadn't dated for a while and kind of grew apart or whatever. And maybe 15, almost 20 years later, we kind of reconnected. And we were just talking, and she mentioned that she had a boyfriend. And I was like, what do you mean you have a boyfriend? I've never seen you with a dude like at all. And she was like, who do you think is taking the pictures? And that kind of broke Instagram and Facebook for me, because I was like, you know what? Who is taking the pictures? Like, what's going on behind the scenes that you don't get to see? And I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like that, like I'm just that simple that little simple comment like broke all of that for me, because I was like, you're absolutely right. Who knows what it took to set up this shot? Who knows what it took for this person that looks like they're in some kind of luxury condo? They could absolutely just be sitting in the lobby of a hotel. Yeah. Who knows? I don't. So that took that away for me, but I think a lot of people don't look at it that way. And like I said, people just try to compare themselves to what they see.
I do still kind of have a hard time with that. And it's just mainly me, my opinion, my psyche, because I grew up in a different generation. I was able to see different stuff. Lifestyles and the Rich and the Famous was pretty much the same thing for us. Mm-hmm. But you were always knowing that you had to do something. You had to work to be able to do that, to get there, even to fake it, if that makes sense. And I guess that's the way I kind of see it. And it's the same thing with people who are very much in shape. And you have people that go like, well, I want to look like that. Do you not realize that they probably are starving themselves and things like that? And it's just knowing what goes behind it. Same thing with commercials. I used to love watching food commercials. So I'd be like, oh, that looks so good. Didn't know that half that stuff ain't cooked or it's fake food.
Yeah.
So yep. I guess being able to have that knowledge, and it's out there, still kind of throws me that people will believe that this is still something that, one, is not attainable, or two, is not real, rather than just being an aspiration. And another thing, why you need to take a picture of it anyway?
Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm not a picture taker myself, but I do get it. Like, I understand that you want to, I get actually taking the picture. But
sometimes I do. I do wish I was more of a picture, but that's, like you said, I'm not really a picture taker person. Yeah. I do wish I was. There are some things I think back on and like, damn, I could have had a picture of that. But
and you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. Even with me, not putting too much stock into what I see on social media, every once in a while, I just want to flex for the gram. I don't know. It is what it is. Every once in a while, I just be like, you know what?
Because I can
throw this out here. Yeah.
Because I can. I get it. And maybe that's it. And I think if people were a little bit more truthful with themselves on that and were allowed to just say that, I think that it would be easier. But you have all of these people who are out there going like, I want to look like the Snapchat filter. You can't. There's a reason why that's there. It's to be entertaining. That's it. Not for you to look like that or whatever. Now, some people take that shit too far because they just want the attention, which that's a totally different thing I don't necessarily want to get into. But I just think we have some deeper issues that kind of flow into in and of itself, is what I'm basically saying. And I don't know what we can do to necessarily fix it, but you can still catch us on Instagram, Say What Radio, CoolBlackNerd podcast. Just saying. My bad.
You know what? I can say this. If you follow us on Instagram, whatever we post is going to be, the real deal, unless we just flexing for the gram. And hopefully you'll be able to tell the difference.
You know what's funny? I try my best to help out new podcasts or struggling podcasts with some tips and things like that, up until the point where you will have to pay, because I do consulting and things like that. I've been doing this for a while, so I can help out if you want help. But I know one of the first things that they ask all the time, like, how did you get your Instagram so much? I was just like, okay, at that point, I honestly got lucky. But this is over a period of 10 years. It wasn't just something that happened overnight. And honestly, it was through a lot of trial and error. And when you say that to people, I can literally see their eyes just kind of glaze over like, ugh.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to put in the work. That's the fun part. It's crazy. So when to see these companies have been able to make it to where they are, and you still don't want to put in the work to be able to try to keep it? Seriously? You just gonna flex on them like that? That's it?
Like I said, I think maybe got to look at the pay structure for some of these executives. It seems to me that sometimes the way that they're incentivized is just to get their stock price as high as possible, no matter the cost.
Yeah.
Speaking of people faking it until they make it, we, November 3rd came and went. Justice, I hope you got a chance to go out and vote. I definitely did. I hope everybody listening had a chance to go out and vote.
Yes.
If you didn't, I want you to know that I'm very disappointed in you.
Very.
Honestly, I don't care who you voted for. I just think it's important for you to be educated and for you to make a choice that you see fit for yourself. But again, now that that's said and done, I'm sure everybody's seen that we are having a contested election, which it's interesting to me that
that's even a thing.
I'm going to put it this way. I have seen the same people who are contesting the presidential election be very satisfied with the results from the congressional seats and from the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't personally understand why we're claiming rampant fraud in the presidential election, but the votes that are on the same ballots as the presidential election, we're okay with those.
Nope.
I think for me, that's all I have to say about it.
A little interesting. I get it. Well, first off, I will say congratulations to the president-elect, Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. I have to say that.
HBCU grad.
Fun fact, did you know she dated Montel Williams?
Really? I didn't know that. That was a surprise. I didn't know that.
Saw that. I was like, wow.
See, I knew she was out there on the yard.
She was
doing her thing, having a good old time.
She was like, you know what? Before I become vice president,
I'm gonna just sow my royal oats.
Show them how they supposed to do it. Flex on them one time.
I bet you she was flexing on the gram if they had it.
But I find it hilarious that I'm old enough to have been able to vote when the 2000 for George Bush and Al Gore. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is weird. Like, I don't know who the president is going to be next year. What is going on? And that went on for a while. But what I didn't know at the time was that it was such a close race. Like, it came down to hundreds of votes.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Hundreds of votes in one state.
And to me, that was just like, so my high school basically could have meant the difference between the president at that time. That was mind-boggling. In one state, Joe Biden is leading like 127,000 votes. That's not a small margin.
That's not a high school.
Come on. It's insane. And that's one place where it's like that. There are so many other ones where it's, 40K and 50K, 80K, and to the point where the overall total is 5 million votes he's ahead. Why are we still having this conversation?
Well, I don't know why we're having this conversation, but I think mentioning the 5 million votes that Joe Biden is ahead nationwide. I just want to point out that the last few Republican presidents that we had, I think with George Bush Jr., they did not actually win the popular vote.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they just won the Electoral College.
Mm-hmm.
So, take that for what you will, but that's the system that we have in this country. So it is 100% possible, to win the presidency without actually winning the popular vote. And as long as we have the Electoral College, that's going to be the case. I don't know if you heard about some legislation that I recently found out about. But 15 states have signed on to it, like it's part of some of them have like ratified it into their state constitution, that as soon as enough states that collectively have the number of Electoral College votes to guarantee a win, as soon as enough states sign on to this legislation, they are going to go with whoever wins the popular vote.
Yeah.
So a person may not, a president may not, or a presidential candidate may not win the state, but their electors will still be pledged to whoever actually won the popular vote. Right now, there's 15 states that have signed on. So I think that's pretty interesting that that's a thing that has happened that states have actually signed on to. The one I heard about was Colorado. I think that was the most recent one. And I think it was actually this election where they had it on the ballot and it was, voted for by the people of that state.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. Well, I mean, throughout history, there have been many times where even Republican presidents, Republican and Democrats on both, basically both sides, just saying they want to do away with the Electoral College, and it's just always falling victim to whatever necessarily agenda is going on at that time.
Where did I want to go from there? I started killing a thing, and I lost my train of thought. The wyvern, it looked like it's like a bird vex.
I don't think they know, Jules.
I know they may not know, but I'm just telling you what happened. That's why I didn't say nothing.
I get it.
I have no idea what I was going to say next, but I did have a response for that. One more thing I actually found out today, I mentioned earlier that they accept the results of the other elections that are going on. One of the government organizations today put out a memo saying that this was the most secure election in the history of the United States. There was zero evidence of massive fraud or errors. No voting machines lost votes, changed votes. There were no fraudulent votes. They came out with that today. And our current president decided to tout that and say that he had done the work to have the most secure election in the history of the United States.
Really?
And I just thought that was interesting as he is continuing to file lawsuits in various states challenging the election.
Oh, okay.
So just thought that was an interesting tidbit.
Oh, that definitely gives new meaning to never give up. Damn. Wow. And on that note, I think we're done.
Okay, I guess we are. So look, guys, what I want you to do is remember, that's actually some good advice. Never give up, fight for your dreams, believe in yourself, believe in the people that believe in you, and anything is possible. Let's go ahead and call this one an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to the Cool Black Nerd podcast. Again, check us out on social media. Always go check out saywhatradio.com. There are several podcasts in our network that I think everybody would enjoy and love and just have a great time listening to.
Always. We out.